Welcome to Often Pacing on Tab Radio Racing and Sport. Tim Walker will be joined by Matt Young and Oliver Cownie as they delve into the form for today's Pinjarra harness meeting, as well as an early look at tomorrow's meeting at Gloucester Park. We are Often Pacing.
We certainly are. Great to have your company on this Monday morning. It has just gone 9:30. Our final Often Pacing for the month of November before we work our way into the final month of the year. Tim Walker with you, and we've got a big show on the way. Matt and Ollie, they're standing by. We'll get to them momentarily. Trent Wheeler's going to join us off the back of his 600th win on Friday night. We'll have a chat to him about that and what he made of that milestone, and also what the next couple of days look like for him. So that is all coming up and all to look forward to between now and 10 o'clock right here on Tab Radio. Do not touch the dial. But let's welcome in our experts and the men that we do want to hear from this morning. And one of them is Ollie Cownie. Ollie, a very good morning to you.
Morning, Tim. Great night of racing on Friday. And as you said, we've got some really good racing to look forward to in the next few weeks.
Yeah, headlined by the Mayor's Classic on Friday. And this week, the next part of the four-year-old puzzle will be unveiled, because we get to see Mr. Smarty and Never Ending in all likelihood clash. And Matt Young's with us as well. Hello, Matty.
Very good morning to you, Tim, Ollie, everyone tuned in.
Great to have you on board this morning. All right, gents, let's get stuck straight into it. Friday night, the feature event was the Mayor's Classic, thanks to Westrel, and it was taken out by Artie by the Seaside. Matt, you were down here. You had a close-up view of how this race unfolded. What did you make of what Artie by the Seaside did? Because she wasn't, it's fair to say, on her absolute best behaviour.
No, it's always an issue if you've got a horse that's over racing over the longer journey, and what's going to be taken away from that finishing sprint. And there was, I'm watching family in second and third, trying to peg back the leader. So I got a little bit excited there, halfway up the straight, thinking Shane was going to get there with Wonderful to Fly. But Artie by the Seaside, to her wonderful attitude, she's just got that heart and determination and grit to be able to kick back or kick on strongly when Wonderful to Fly got within about a half length. So the lead time was really soft, which definitely helped in her favour, but then over racing after that, it was going to take a little bit of sting away from her at the finish. But she's just got a great will to win, that horse, and she was able to hold on. So really strong effort, but no doubt coming off of that, it's still going to be something that they would like to change and fix, because she's going to the upper echelon of racing, including free-for-all company now, Artie by the Seaside, but she's just a wonderful horse.
Yeah, she's done a terrific job since coming out here earlier on this year. What was your assessment of it, Ollie, from over on the other side of the country?
Oh, I was down there at Gloucester Park on Friday night as well. I was lucky enough to see it live, and it was a fantastic race. We were all talking about how potentially Steno might be able to cross in the early stages, and that would be advantage to her, and she would have been very hard to catch if she was able to lead. But Artie's by the Seaside zipped off the gate and led pretty easily in the end, and Steno didn't really look like crossing. So that's definitely something to note for future races, that Artie's by the Seaside actually has really good gate speed that she can utilise there when she's able to. And Wonderful to Fly was very well driven in the early stages to get that leader's back spot. I think at her absolute best, Wonderful to Fly, the run she had, I think she probably runs past Artie's by the Seaside, but she's just not quite at her absolute brilliant best. So in the end, Artie's by the Seaside dropped a 27-6 quarter down the back, and that was enough to make it pretty hard for those horses off the pegs. But Steno was really good, battled away gamely, and was coming hard on the line. And I think perhaps if there was a little bit more pressure in the early stages, Steno might have been able to run over the top, but there wasn't. And Artie's by the Seaside was too good again, and she's really just proving to be a quite a dominant mare now.
Yeah, that she certainly is. Could you see her playing a part in the four-year-old races, Ollie?
Definitely could, and with that gate speed, she'll be able to put herself in a really good position in those races, and she seems like quite a versatile horse. I think she could probably come off cover as long as she's not over racing like she is there on Friday. I think, the horses in that race, like Steno is a very high-quality horse, and she was competitive in a really strong race leading into the Pacing Cup. So she's probably on a similar level to Artie by the Seaside. So there's nothing to suggest that in 4-year-old company, Artie by the Seaside couldn't match it with the boys, I don't think.
All right. Now, that is a look at the Mares Classic. What about the free-for-all Friday night, Matt? So you forecasted a little earlier on the Sports Daily when we did speak to you that perhaps a little bit disappointing Jumping Jack Mac, but not to be lost in it all is that Cordero, he is a giant killer.
Yeah, absolutely. Cordero is the sort of horse that can capitalise on horses not going to the absolute best. I mean, there was a few years ago when he beat Chicago Bull. I can't remember the other horse that was in the race. It was one of Bondi's. I thought it was maybe El Jacko, but I can't remember what one it was. But he was wonderful on that occasion, winning that race. But that was, I mean, we're talking Chicago Bull's been retired for years. So, yeah, to see him turn back the clock and take down a big name and a big horse like Jumping Jack Mac, that was really great to see for Trevor Wright and connections, and he's just been a wonderful horse. But yeah, Jumping Jack Mac, look, you can't tiptoe around it or sugarcoat it. He was disappointing. He got to the front pretty comfortably, and he looked like he was going to win very easily, and he just didn't find that much. So it sort of did put in one of those performances earlier on this year before he went for a break, but it's pretty early into his preparation to throw one of those in. So I'm expecting him to bounce back. There's no doubt something wasn't 100% right with him on Friday night because he went probably 50 metres below what we expected of him.
I reckon Patronus Star was the horse you're looking for, Matt. Is that right?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yep, that was
Patronus Star.
Back at the start of 2022, was having a look at that race earlier on this morning. All right, now, gents, we're 4 minutes away from Grafton, so what we might do is have a look at horses to follow. Then we'll take Grafton, come back and get the tips for the next couple of days. So let's go with some horses to follow. Ollie, we'll let you fire away firstly.
The first horse to follow for me was in the first race of the night, Mr. Macedon. I thought he was absolutely fantastic there. From gate 2, you thought he might be able to potentially hold the breeze, but he just didn't get out fast enough in the end, and he was crossed, and he ended up in a bit of an awkward position, and he had to make a wide run, and they ran 27.9 down the back, and he was wide on the track, and he battled away super there and finished just alongside Me Flash, who had a really soft run in the race. So I think he's a horse that's going really well, and if he can get a position up on speed soon, not necessarily even leading, I think he can be very, very competitive in a similar sort of race. The next horse I had to follow on Friday was one that was heavily backed, and I was pretty keen on him too in the early stages, Ventura, but in the end, it just didn't really work out for him. Otis held the breeze, and it left him doing all the work 3 wide when they were sprinting up. I thought it was very good there to battle away and be beaten just 3 metres. So I think he's a horse that'll probably go around pretty short odds when he does next race, but I think he's a horse for the future and a horse that could be really competitive, right up in grade, and I think he can make a real impact, that horse. So I'm keen to follow him next start, but I'm even more keen to follow him as he moves through the grades. And then the last horse I had to follow was from race 8 later in the night. I had Shuby's Double. It was tracking up a few of the horses that were in the finish there, but just couldn't quite pull it out wider on the track and looked to be travelling easily. So I think back down in grade, Shuby's Double will be winning a race very soon.
Okay, 2 minutes away from Grafton. Matt, your horses to follow from Friday night.
Yeah, look, I was really taken by the run of Otis. I think we take him for granted, Otis, and in just how much work he does in his races, and I think he's one that sort of, we just expect him to run like he does, and at that 27.2 down the back, he's in the breeze punching. I know Ventura was 3 wide, but I think Ventura is going to be more well found. As Ollie mentioned, he's probably going to be short next time he sets out. So I thought Otis is one of those ones who just keeps flying under the radar and keeps putting up wonderful performances. Can't buy a draw. If he gets a good draw, I think he's going to win one very soon. That was a really good effort on Friday night, only beaten 3.9 metres at the line. Nullarbor Navajo, I liked her run. She was badly taken back through the field in the Mares Classic. She cut back down towards the inside, ducked and weaved, and as she got into the clearance, she was doing her best work at the line. She's had a very forced preparation, so I'm expecting her to be back into the winners list very soon. And Arian Rock in the last, I thought, was a nice effort. it was on the pegs, and he got home strongly and looked like he just locked wheels with Curious Boy late, which probably cost him being able to run into a top 3 position. But at the same token, I thought Arian Rock was really strong, and he's shown a lot of promise last preparation. I think he's improved a bit more this time in. So he's one to follow, and I think he can be followed on the country ranks as well. So Otis, Nullarbor, Navajo, and Arian Rock, 3 from me out of Friday.
We were having a look at how things unfolded on Friday night at Gloucester Park with horses to follow, and from there we get to turn our attention to Pinjarra today. And Ollie, we'll let you fire away firstly. You're going nice and early in the program for your first best.
Yeah, we'll kick things off in race 2. In this race, there's one I think will be really big odds and great each-way value. I think Seminole Junior is a horse that has a little bit of ability, and I thought it was just a total forgive last start at Collie. It's really hard to come wide and make ground on that track. So battled away pretty gamely there, I thought, to just beat 9 metres. And this race, draws gate 1, I think has options in the early stages, but I'd probably say that it would be happy to hand over to Everywhere Man, who may look to roll along, and Seminole Junior will just get that great run on its back throughout the race. And I don't think it's a race of any real superstars. So I could easily see Seminole Junior running a place there at decent odds, and potentially, if the tempo suits and things really go its way, then could be a knockout winning hope. So I'm happy to go 1 by 3 in race 2. The next race I was happy to play into, and I was pretty happy to play the exotics in this race. Race 4, I thought She's Victorious went around first up last start, and it was just a really, really tough race to be first up in. So I thought, despite dropping out, probably not a bad form reference, given they went 155 there, to be dropping back into a race like this. Draws gate 1 definitely looks hardest to beat, but I thought Terrivian Pinky is one that's been racing extremely well. She has had plenty of chances to win races and just hasn't quite run past them, which is evidenced by her 2 from 49 wins so far in her career. But she's a horse that's always thereabouts, and whenever she gets the right run, she's always in the finish. So I'm happy to play the Quinella there and then also box up the Exacta. And if we can get Terrivian Pinky to beat She's Victorious, that'll probably inject some value into those. And if you're playing a trifecta, I think EB Aviator can drop to the back of Terrivian Pinky and can be in the minor money there as well. So I think we can play that a few ways, and if we can get Terrivian Pinky to win, it'll probably pay pretty well. But either way, we'll make a profit there, hopefully. And then in race 8, as Matt mentioned on the preview, I do think the danger to this horse I'm going to tip is Lenora Jaina. I was really keen to be with Soho Honey Rider. Definitely need to be well rated out in front to hold off the stablemate in the concluding stages. But I think Soho Honey Rider is quite a nice horse when she's able to lead and get the right run. Last time she led at Gloucester Park, she was just beaten there by Atlantic Gem, who ran a terrific race on the weekend after doing all the work, and is certainly a quality horse. So I think Soho Honey Rider can put herself on the front end here, and she can get back into the winner's stall for mine.
All right, so that is Soho Honey Rider there in the lucky last of your 3 tips at least. Anyway, Ollie, there is a 9th event on the program today, but race 8 is where we'll pull up stumps from a punting point of view. Seminole Junior, the place. We'll talk to Trent in a couple of moments' time in race 2. And then race 4, play the exotics there, Terrivian Pinky, She's Victorious, and maybe EB Aviator, one to throw into the trifectas. Matt, you're through the middle part of this afternoon for your best bets.
Yeah, look, I think it's just a carbon copy of what Ollie said in terms of race 4. I thought Terrivian Pinky was definitely the better punting proposition. I think She's Victorious is going to be quite hard to beat. Her times, even though well beaten, first up was in, I think, about 157 and change for 2,100 metres. That would go close to winning this race. But, yeah, her gate speed's a little bit of a concern for mine. It's not an overly fast front line, but I think she'll go close to leading the race. And if she does lead, which looks most likely, you would say, being a short price favourite, Terrivian Pinky's going to get that perfect run. I thought Terrivian Pinky would get the last crack. Doesn't win too often, but I thought she would run a really good race here. And agree, if you're playing trifectas, you've got to have EB Aviator, who should duck down to the marker pegs. And Yeah, that would probably be a play as well. But, yeah, I thought Torrey and Pinky each way in race number 4. Race 5, I was very keen on Ronald Scott. I thought he would probably get the advantage over Elder Prince in the early stages. And Submariner's not overly quick. Devil's Courage isn't quick. Hokulani's not overly quick. Elder Prince took a few times to be able to qualify. He wasn't a huge fan of the gate. Now he's going to be following out directly behind the middle of the mobile, which horses sometimes can balk at and not be overly keen to be there. And Gary Hall Jr. didn't push him off the arm last start, so I think he'll probably be the better horse going forward, Elder Prince, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I think his inexperience and greenness is probably going to play a part here. So I thought him being favourite, I had them the other way around. I thought Ronald Scott would win this race. His last 2 runs have been really good, and his 3 runs back from a spell have been really strong. So, look, I think he'll go really close to winning this race. Ronald Scott is very keen, probably as keen as I've been on a horse for a very long time. So, race 5, number 7, and race 6, number 1. Sticking with the Shane Gabler train, and this is no noting a place. I liked his last run. Got through late, held up, but just the way he finished off that last 100 metres was really strong. Winner 2 starts ago. Mickey's Beach should be winning this by as far as he wants to. I thought No Noni could just posse up nicely on the pegs and be able to have the last crack at them. And the peg line looks to be pretty strong when they're carving out solid sectionals. So happy to have him in for a place. Race 6, number 1, the place No Noni. Race 5, number 7, Ronald Scott straight out. And race 4, number 8, Tovey and Pinky each way.
$2.25 into $1.75. Ronald Scott $1.34 out to $1.45. It's very much one that the punters in race number 5 are seeing as a race in 2. But Matt, with Ronald Scott there. Okay, let's turn our attention tomorrow night. Matt, keep rolling. Races 2 and 3 are your early plays for GP.
Yeah, Gloucester Park tomorrow and race number 2 on the card. I thought Minor Catastrophe gets a really good opportunity. I think probably more on a Richard Bell type bet, 1x4, 1x5. I thought a really good opportunity to follow Cloud 9, who I think is going to be a massive improver here. Looks likely to lead Cloud 9 and looks very hard to beat, but I thought Minor Catastrophe hasn't been too bad in her performances back. I've noticed a trend with her in the past, probably being a family horse, I've noticed her a bit more, is that she doesn't really like pushing into a clear, and she's not the most overly brave horse in the world. She's got a short, sharp sprint, and I think Minor Catastrophe can run a really good race here, sitting behind the speed. So if she gets a crack at them late, she can win, but I think she's probably more of a place chance. And in race 3, I liked Blaze On last start, hit the line really well. First up run I thought was good. This looks a really suitable grade. Bit of speed underneath, but I thought Blaze On could be able to push forward and potentially get very handy to them, and looks very hard to beat for mine. So race 3, number 4, Blaze On, and race 2, number 10, Minor Catastrophe each way. All
right. Ollie, you're going to race 2 as well.
Yeah, I saw things exactly the same as Matt. I thought Minor Catastrophes had a few runs back from a spell, and last couple of efforts have probably been the best of those efforts. So I think she's probably nearing peak fitness now, and has always loved that run behind the leader. Sometimes, as Matt mentioned, she doesn't quite let down when she works into the clear too early, but she's always travelling sweetly there when she does get that leader's back run. I think Cloud 9 will lead, and I think he'll probably win the race. Last time he led, he was able to beat Soho Moonraker, who's pretty smart and probably better than anything he's taken on in this field. So I think the key battle in the early stages is holding out Courage of Lombo, who Trent Wheeler jumps onto and will likely get it off the gate really well. But I do think Cloud 9 can do enough in the early stages to hold up, and that'll give a great run to Minor Catastrophe in that race. So I think Minor Catastrophe is the place bet there. And then for me in race 8, I thought It's My Time might go around quite a short price after a debut run that, while she was beaten a fair way, she was beaten 12 metres. It was one of the better debuts I've ever seen. She didn't get around the track at all. She was racing roughly most of the way and was quite amazed that she was able to get into third there. So she's shown gate speed previously. I think she can probably lead from gate 1, and if she leads from gate 1, I think she'll be winning the race.
All right, so that is Minor Catastrophe, the place bet, and It's My Time in race number 8. All right, Matt, Ollie, thank you for your time this morning. Matt Racing, WA Harness X page, the place to be. Full coverage of Pinjarra today?
100%.
Beautifully done. Look forward to your company again tomorrow morning as well on the Sports Daily. And Ollie, good luck today. We look forward to catching up with you again next week.
Thanks, Tim. Looking forward to it.
On Tab Radio, Racing and Sport, this is Often Pacing.
And it's great to have your company on Often Pacing this Monday morning. I'll have to correct myself there. I said Goulburn. That's where they're racing today from a harness point of view in New South Wales. Thoroughbreds are at Grafton, 3, 8, 7 and 2 there on the opening event of the day. And we're just 9 minutes away from the opening event at Goulburn, which will open up the race day presentation here on Tab Radio. In the meantime, we're going to round out Often Pacing with Trent Wheeler, who brought up career win number 600 on Friday night with Magnus Victor. Trent, good morning to you.
How are we?
Going along very well. 600 wins. How big of an achievement is it?
Yeah, it was good to get it over and done with, Tim. It had been a bit of a slog for the last week, but yeah, when I first started out, 600 was a long way away, so it's happy to get there, and hopefully now we can move on to the next 600.
Yeah, exactly right. It sounded like it weighed on the mind for a bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure it weighed on the mind for a bit, but yeah, I was hoping to bring it up at Collie on the Sunday and in front of family and friends, but it turned out to be a bit of a disastrous day, but that's racing, and that's what probably makes the sport so exciting. You don't know if you're up or you're down. Yeah,
exactly right. And, well, you were up with Magnus Victor there on Friday night. What did you make of the performance?
Yeah, no, he was really good. Aidan was happy with him and thought if we could get across Robbie and find the rail, that he'd be pretty hard to beat. And certainly was. Like, he travelled real strong down the back in a quick quarter and was still good enough to hold him off in the end.
Absolutely. Now, just on the 600, just one more on that if we can. You said it's not one that you put a great deal of thought into. You were hoping to get it at Collie, but when you start out, do you have goals in terms of numbers? Do you put numbers on it, or is it one whereby you just look at what's next, where the next winner comes from? Is that the goal for you, or do you have a different outlook on it?
To be fair, when I first started out, probably wasn't at my best. Was just happy to drive one winner, and I was sort of just doing it for fun. But the last probably 3 or 4 years, I've knuckled down into it and got some good opportunities from a lot of people and a lot of help from people. And yeah, so then 600 sort of become not really a goal, but to get 600 was a big achievement. Yeah,
it certainly was. And did you feel that support on Friday night as well once you did cross the line?
Yeah, I did. It was good to get it for Aidan because probably they were the first people that I approached to sort of get into a stable and go and help, and they've always been very open and gone down there and drove track work and given me a lot of opportunities. So it was good to get it for Aidan. Yeah,
and you're regularly, if it's not Aidan driving or if Aidan's at another meeting, you're the one that they do turn to. So that must just give you an extra bit of confidence as well when you are driving.
Yeah, it helps. Everyone knows in this sport it's all about opportunities. You can only drive winners if you're getting good opportunities. And like I say, the last couple of years I've been lucky with Peter Anderson and Bob Fowler and Aidan, Dylan. It's all about the opportunities. And I approached Senior and Stewie to go and drive track work there, and they were good enough to let me go and drive track work there. And then it just all rolls on to get opportunities in races.
Well, that's a great result there on Friday night to get to 600. Now, let's see if we can get a couple more winners this afternoon at Pinjarra. Now, Ollie was just making a real case for Seminole Junior on the certainly a place basis here, and if things were to work out, maybe a winning point of view as well. And there's been just a little bit of support as well for this 2-year-old. So can you start your day, if not with a winner, at least with one that can be right there in the picture?
Yeah, I think so. He's got the right draw, and it looks to be a pretty even field. He looks like he's learnt every start. This is my first drive on him, but Jane and Liam are happy with him, and the barrier should be close enough to hopefully utilise the sprint lane and run into a place share.
All right. Now we're down to just a field of 5 in race number 3. Delightable has got the all-important draw advantage on Songster, who is knocking on the door himself. But can today be the day for Delightable at start 63?
He's probably not the best at getting out from barrier 1, so that doesn't help us. But with Songster next to us, it might help us keep the advantage on him. Yeah, I think if he could get to the front, sort of just roll even sectionals, he's probably a chance. But he doesn't like sitting and sprinting because he doesn't really have a real turn of foot. So, yeah, if we could hold the advantage and roll along, he's definitely, maybe today could be today in a small field.
Could you be a top 4 or top 5 chance in what the punters are identifying as a 2-horse race in race number 5? You team up with Submariner from Barrier 1.
With the draw, I think he can. Obviously, the 2 horses, Elder Prince and Ronald Scott, look very hard to beat, but I think if we can hold a nice forward spot early, Barrier 1 following the rail, he should be able to run in the top 5. All
right. Now, Sea Fury was a winner a couple of weeks ago and goes up against Mickey's Beach today. Firstly, how did you assess the performance a couple of weeks ago?
Mouse had been looking forward to getting him off the front line because he had a lot of gate speed, and he certainly did have a lot of gate speed, and there's probably a bit more upside to him because when he got to the front, he wanted to switch off. So I haven't had a chance to speak to Mouse of what they want to do today, but yeah, I think he's a horse that will just keep getting better as he goes through this campaign.
Okay, all right. And that is in race number 6 today up against Mickey's Beach. Now, Bellissimo Acquisto, we know is obviously very effective at the stand. Back to the mobile today, again for Mouse. This looks a pretty competitive little event. Obviously, Travel Band we saw on Friday night and Velocipede has got the draw advantage. So how did you see this playing out from your perspective?
Yeah, there looks to be a fair bit of speed there. I'm not quite sure how he gets out the gate, but Travel Band, Major Freeway and Velocipede will all be going forward, and our Vinny and Springline. So probably might be a race, like I haven't spoken to Mouse, but it might be a race. If they all go mad early, then they'll know that we're in it at the end. Okay,
and I know you mentioned you haven't spoken to Mouse, but what was your first thoughts with Zara Tyndall in race 8, drawn barrier number 6, but obviously comes in a couple with a few scratchings underneath?
Yeah, the scratchings will definitely help her. I'm not sure if there was a bit of a problem with the last run because her form before that was really good. So, yeah, this is a race that she could earn in.
And is it much the same for Codename Elliot in race number 9?
Yeah, just probably got to do our best to hold up on the back of the 1 horse. He's not the quickest out of the gate, but if we can hold a forward spot, he can be in the money somewhere.
Terrific. Is there one that you're looking forward to at Gloucester Park tomorrow night?
The 2-year-old of Peters. She goes a nice chestnut filly flyer. I forget her name.
I'll bring that up for you right now. Just having a look. There you go, the 2-year-old race. Fly She Can.
Yeah, Fly She Can. She goes nice. So
yep.
If there's any chinks in Aiden's horse's armour, I think we'll be there at the end.
All right. And Rolling Fire, you're named for Rolling Fire on Friday night. Is that your expectation? You'll be there with him in the 4-year-old classic?
Yeah, I hope to. If he gets a start, it's a good drive to pick up. So, yeah, if he gets a start in a good barrier, it's definitely a good race drive to have going into the 4-year-old races. Yeah, he can, with the right run, certainly play a part. Well, good luck today, Trent. Congratulations on the 600. Appreciate your time this morning, and we look forward to catching up with you again very soon. Thank you very much. There is Trent Wheeler with us on the program. All right, that is us for Off and Pacing for another week. Thank you very much for tuning in this morning. And just hot off the press, the nominations for the 4-year-old classic. There is no Never Ending or Artie by the Seaside there. So 2 notable absentees for that 4-year-old classic on Friday night. We'll wait and see what the barriers do a little later on in the week. We'll be back again next week with Matt and Ollie, and we'll wrap up that 4-year-old classic program from Gloucester Park. Have a great week. Don't forget, Racing WA Harness X page for full coverage of Pinjarra today. Thanks for your company on Off and Pacing.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.